crack out of the chaos.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Welcome to week 8 of the Roger Cador Show. Clarence Buggs along with the coach. How are you today, my friend?
Fine. 8 weeks already. We having too much fun.
That's why they tell you time flies when you're having fun. Tell you who didn't have fun yesterday.
Oh,
Drew Brees and the hundreds of thousands of fans of the New Orleans Saints. That was an ugly end to a season, Coach.
yeah, it was pretty tough. I didn't get to see the complete ending, but I got to saw in between what happened with the 2 interceptions, and it's just difficult.
Yeah.
And let's face it, let's be realistic. Tampa played better. Being a coach, the team that plays better usually wins.
Yeah. I saw the 2 opening possessions, well, actually the opening and then the second possession, where the Saints had the opportunity to go up 14-0, and instead were only up 6-0. You can relate. After you've been around a while, you've seen it happen enough times, you know when your gut tells you something, you better listen, because if you stick around long enough, the gut doesn't lead you wrong. I knew right then, Carter said, this is going to be a long day. We are in trouble. And sure enough, it came back to bite us.
Yeah, that's why they call it the red zone. When you get that close, you got to score a touchdown. Scoring 3 points is good and dandy, but you want to be able to get the maximum out of it.
Right. You know, a lot of people, and you were one of them, brought up the fact that, man, it's tough to beat a team 3 times in one season. We all knew that going into it. Tampa Bay knew it. Saints knew it. Everybody knew. But I don't think anybody saw it coming to this magnitude, Coach.
The fans didn't know it. I bet they didn't.
No.
They thought, it's easy. We beat them twice already. We'll destroy them. But Tom Brady and that Buccaneers team had really been playing well as they got to the playoff, and that's when you really want to play your best.
Yeah,
they had a little down, and then toward the end of the season they picked up a little spark, and then now they really are playing good, and that defense is really playing good.
Oh yeah, and to be realistic, I don't care who you put around him, but particularly when you put around him guys that have a history and the potential that he does, when you're playing the likes of a Tom Brady, you can't mess around and give this guy opportunity after opportunity, short field after short field, field goal after field goal instead of touchdown after touchdown and reasonably expect to come away a winner.
Yeah, well, it didn't happen yesterday. Yeah.
So, how tough is it to end your career that way?
I mean, it was going to end anyway.
Yeah. All good things come to an end.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
At the end of the day, you still have this record, the most this, the most that, the most the other that anybody's ever done in history. But as competitive as a guy as he is, that can't sit well to go out on a stage like that.
Well, it doesn't sit well, but I think he's in a good place. He knows how tough it is to win championships.
Right.
I mean, it's very difficult. He's won one, and it's just tough. One play can make a difference, which we saw in years past, how one play made a difference. So there it is.
Spending some time talking about this with Jonathan Poche of Tiger's Roar, he brought up something that was really interesting that I had not thought about. He mentioned that when you go back and look at the Minnesota Vikings game, that Minnesota Miracle, that whole time frame, when you look at the amount of wins that the Saints posted in that era, to only come away with one trip to the Super Bowl, that's a whole lot of potential that was there, whole lot of top-notch personnel, and a whole lot of victories to only come away with one appearance in the Super Bowl. That's a bitter pill to swallow, Coach.
For a lot of people, it is a bitter pill to swallow, but you know what? They'll get over it.
At the end of the day, you big boys put on your big boy pants and you get over it.
That's right.
Because, and I guess in hindsight, the guy's telling the truth, because what are you going to do about it?
I've been a coach, so I know.
Yeah.
You got to get over it.
Is that one of the benefits of being a coach? You understand better than most that it is what it is. Now, you're going to sit around and mope on it, or are you going to get over it and do better the next time?
We've got to do better the next time. I mean, that's simple. It is what it is. You're going to have only so many opportunities to win championships.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I hate the most, aside from the ugliness of the win in and of itself, is the fact that there were a lot of opportunities there, season after season after season after season, that we did not make the most of. As we continue our conversation about what is arguably no joy in Mudville because Mighty Casey has struck out, we will ask the guys and the girls out in the crew, because we're not sexist, we got guys and girls in the truck, if they would be so kind as to roll the highlights from this season-ending defeat for the Saints. We're good. We got only 5 left on this segment.
5 minutes?
Yeah, on this segment.
I need to tell this guy.
You had to feel pretty good, and I know it's kind of a two-edged sword, because you look at Devin White, linebacker, former LSU Tiger, now with the Buccaneers. You look at Leonard Fournette, former LSU Tiger, now with the Buccaneers. You still have to feel pretty good for them as guys that we all rooted for when they were wearing the purple and gold. You got to feel pretty good for them to know that there's a possibility we might have some guys with LSU direct connections, not only in the conference championship, but possibly in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, that's always a good thing. LSU's got a lot of players, and I noticed yesterday when Kansas City was playing Cleveland, they had LSU players on both sides
all over the place
ball.
there as well.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that says to me, I don't care what some of the quote prognosticators and the so-called experts say, that's still a premier job in America. when you look at the fact that every single team that played this past weekend had an LSU connection.
Yeah.
In there.
Well, that's what happened when they got so many players in there.
Yeah. So it's hard to say that the quote brand has been diminished because of the last season with COVID and everything else. When you look at the rosters that are out there, how ironic that Jameis Winston, you see him throw that pass there. Literally didn't hardly touch the field at all, and then against his old team, throws a touchdown.
Isn't that beautiful? That's one of the most beautiful thing about athletic competition. When you compete, you leave one team, play against them, and then you're able to do something like that. Makes you feel pretty good.
So at the end of the day, let's say for the sake of the conversation, Coach, this was Drew Brees' swan song. We will never see him in uniform again for the New Orleans Saints. What's his legacy going to be? What do you think?
Well, the legacy is that he was willing to come to New Orleans after Katrina. He took a chance on New Orleans because they hadn't done anything prior to him coming.
True.
And the fact that the city embraced them and they were able to win a championship a year or so later.
Right.
I think more than anything, all of the accomplishment, touchdown passes, yardage, all of the other stuff, I just think that that's probably his greatest inside feeling.
Right.
You know, you feel good inside about accomplishment.
Right.
That had to be it. Because he helped so many more people.
Yeah.
He helped people who don't follow football.
Yeah, good point. And in addition to that, he also helped instill, along with Sean Payton and all the other individual players that saw playing time with him, he was able to erase a legacy of frustration and futility to a point where Saints fans on any given Sunday could walk into the Dome or walk into any other NFL stadium with a reasonable expectation that we can win.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
My late father was a long-time season ticket holder during the many horrible years of the Saints franchise. And as a business person, for him, the getaway was just to get away from the grind every day of running 3 and 4 businesses. It wasn't about cheering on the team because you thought they were going to win. It was just something different to get away from the grind of everything. But all that has changed now. When you put on that black and gold and you show up at the Superdome, you expect to win. That's a whole different mindset from what the first few decades of this franchise was all about.
I agree with you. I mean, it's a winning franchise now. It's something that the people of the state of Louisiana can be proud about.
Mm-hmm. I just don't particularly envy the guy that's going to get to replace Drew because he's the yardstick that guy is going to be measured against for a long time. We need to get the first break of today's show out of the way. When we come back, boy, talk about a special interview. Got to stick around and find out who it is. That's next on the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe and Lock, conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946.
Surprise, something good has finally happened in 2020. Yours truly, the Clarence Bugg Show, gets to be with you every day of the week. That's right, 11 to 12 every weekday. And of course, the Exiles right in front of yours truly from 10 to 11, yours truly 11 to 12. So now it's appointment viewing. 5 days a week here on the Pelican. The Clarence Bugg Show. The only thing missing is you.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. Coach, I will let you do the honors in introducing our next guest to the viewers all across the great state of Louisiana.
Well, I'm honored to be able to introduce my friend, David K. Stewart. How are you, David K.?
I'm doing absolutely outstanding today. How are you?
I'm doing good. Always a pleasure to hear your voice. And thanks for coming on and sharing some memory with our listening audience or viewing audience. Mm-hmm. First of all, David K., we know that you came out of the city of Oakland. You were a baseball and football player and almost accepted a football scholarship to come to Grambling. Am I correct?
Yes, I did. That was back in Coach Robinson's days, and it was everybody's dream, at least in East Oakland. It was everybody's dream if you play football to play for Coach Robinson, and so that would have been at that time the premier event in my life had I had the opportunity to come and play at Grambling. We used to get the Grambling games, and no offense to you, Coach, because you know Roger that I love Southern, but
yeah.
No offense, but Grambling was the school in the Bay Area at that time. We used to get their football games on Sunday mornings at home.
I used to watch it too. I think it came on CBS here. I don't know what affiliate it came on there, but yeah, used to watch it. Brought to you by Buick, I think was the car sponsorship at the time. But David, when you were drafted out of high school by the Dodgers, they drafted you as a catcher. Can you talk to us a little about that?
They did. I played high school baseball for that matter. Every level that I played, Little League, high school, Babe Ruth, Connie Mack. My primary position was that of a catcher, and so I pitched a couple of times throughout high school, sophomore, freshman, senior years, but not enough to consider myself to be a pitcher. And actually, after the draft, the Dodgers had a workout camp in an area called San Rafael in the Bay Area. I went out to the workout camp, and I caught 3 innings, and I pitched 1 inning. And right after that trial camp, the Dodgers came into my home and they signed me. I got to Bellingham, Washington. It was the first that I knew that my position was going to be changed to a pitcher. And so the first time I ever pitched was in rookie ball as a professional.
Isn't that amazing? And what a job you did. You made the transition, and became one of the top pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. But you've also done other things beside pitching. You were a pitching coach with Milwaukee Brewers, and you've been an agent. Tell me what that's like.
Well, I mean, being a pitching coach is really just about being able to take the player, take the person, understand their personalities, understand who they are, and then figure out a way to best communicate with them to help them to become better in all areas of their job, which is the pitch. And it's one of the things that I enjoyed most about being a pitching coach is that you kind of, although you are a part of a team, your vision and your thought and your focus is narrowed down to, well, in my time, we carried 10 pitchers. At most, we carry 11. So my focus was on 10 people, 11 people, and trying to get the best that I could out of each individual to help our team win baseball games. And it was really a rewarding experience for me to be able to do that on a couple of occasions with the San Diego Padres. And then I had another opportunity to do it with the USA baseball team, and then eventually with the Milwaukee Brewers, and that was my last opportunity to do a coaching job. Well, actually, I take that back. I did do it for half a season with the Toronto Blue Jays, but it was a great opportunity. It was a very good learning experience for me, and one that I'll always cherish, especially with the Padres team, because we were able to get to the World Series and to eventually be beaten by the New York Yankees.
Well, before I turn it over to Clarence, one more thing I want to say. You are such a giving person that I remember in the early in 2000, you gave up of your valuable time and came and spent 1 week with me to help my pitchers out. Those are the kind of things that people don't do anymore. And I think all of that happens not only from what your parents gave you, that value, but you remember the Little League coaches and all those coaches in the community. You grew up, how much they gave up their time. And you gave it to my players, and they'll never forget it.
Oh, it was a memorable experience for me. I mean, not only, having an opportunity to come and spend time with young players and help to give them an idea of what it takes and what you need to do to get to the next level. But you know what a lot of people don't realize, if they never take the opportunity to do it, is what you receive from the kids as you're getting an opportunity to work with them and be around them, and the things that you share with them and their experiences and the laughter and the fun that you have and the time that you spend with them. And it's always been a rewarding experience for me to get together with young players, young pitchers, and spend time with them. And I would do it anytime I had the opportunity, as you know, Roger.
I know it very well, David K.
Dave, it's been reported that your father didn't want you to play sports because he didn't feel anybody could make a living hitting a ball. What did your dad want you to be, and how long did it take for him to come around that, hey, maybe my son might be able to make a good living doing this?
When we're talking the early 60s and going into the late 60s, and then we have to think about it. Baseball wasn't impacted by its first black player until 1947, and then players came along after that, but the numbers that were playing the game weren't great, and so and it was embedded and implanted in the minds of I think all black families that your best opportunities and chances are to become a doctor or become a lawyer. And if you can't do that, then obviously do the best you can at whatever profession you take on.
Right.
But doctors and lawyers, those were the professions that my parents felt were respectable at that time. And it took my father a long time. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was very young, and he never had an opportunity to see me play as a professional. But
wow.
He did get a chance to see me play Little League Baseball in my early stages of Babe Ruth, and I think he realized that I had a gift for the game. My father took me to my first Major League game in 1962
Wow.
And I had a chance to get out and watch the San Francisco Giants, which were across the bay, and they were playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. And so I had an opportunity to see the Giants and the Pirates, but not only see that, but I got a chance to see Willie Mays and Roberto Clemente, which for your first Major League Baseball game, that's a treat.
Yeah, yeah. Your exploits in the regular season are the stuff that legends are made of. But man, when you talk about the postseason, you are so noted for that kicking it into, quote, another gear. Where did that come from in Dave Stewart?
You know, life experiences. What I learned is if you've never had an opportunity or a chance to do something, and it could be anything, if you've never experienced it, you've never done it, then it's difficult to be able to achieve. And there are different ways for you to achieve experiences, and one of them, which this is how postseason played in for me, is visualization and simulating situations. And so my brother and I, as kids, we always, when we played in the backyard or when we played at the schoolyard, we always played and positioned ourselves or made imaginary situations similar to bases loaded with no outs, and Willie Mays is the hitter, and he's facing Juan Marichal.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So a lot of it began in the backyard with my brother, and as times went on, and when I became a professional, I took games against Roger Clemens or Ron Guidry or Frank Vile or Jack Morris or Dan Petrie, whoever was on the other side. I would take those games. They were the other team's #1 starters, and I would take those games and use those as big game experiences and see how well I could pitch against them, how deep I could carry the ball into the game, and how few of runs I would give up in those games. And I would practice those experiences during the season,
Right.
so that when I got into the postseason, I wasn't faced by the situation.
A little more recently, you submitted a bid of $115 million to buy the city of Oakland's share of the famed Coliseum. Your vision, if what I'm reading in researching this is correct, your vision, this is personal for Dave Stewart, isn't it?
It's always been personal. I'm born and raised in East Oakland. I was a stone's throw from the Oakland Coliseum when it was being built. And so I remember that area before there was a Coliseum. I grew up in that area, and I never left East Oakland until I became a professional at 18 years old. And I still came back to East Oakland. I lived in Oakland as a resident for most of my life, if not all of my life. And so if the A's should happen to move their stadium to downtown Oakland, East Oakland has become a forgotten it's become a forgotten part of the city of Oakland.
Right.
And it quite frankly has not been given the same consideration that other parts of Oakland has been given in terms of refurbishing and giving it a facelift. It's been pretty much left behind.
Right.
And so my vision at this time is to make East Oakland a city within a city, to be able to put the citizens of East Oakland in a position where they have affordable housing, where we have nice restaurants and hotels, boutique shops that will be it will be an area where we can create employment opportunities. You know, there are a lot of check cashing places that are charging people in East Oakland huge amounts of interest to do business. And so, you know, we want to appeal to, you know, the credit unions and major banking. And so what we want to do is when people leave the airport and they see the East Oakland and how it's been brought back and what's been built there, now economically as well as aesthetically, people will want to be there. I mean, there'll be opportunities for small boutique concerts and things of that nature. And so what you're basically doing is you're breathing a breath of life into an area that's been forgotten. And so that right now is my dream for the East Oakland area, and I believe that I can make this happen.
Do you not also, in undertaking something of this nature, don't you also plant a subliminal seed in the minds of particularly folks that look like the three of us do, that all things are possible if in fact you're willing to make the sacrifice and have the commitment to it?
You know, I didn't get into this venture with that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But what we know as human beings is that there is always somebody, both young and old, that are watching what you're doing, and
Amen.
they use that as an example of the things that can be.
Amen.
You know, Martin Luther King was the example of what can be and a vision of how things should be and can be. And so when it comes to East Oakland, it's where my heart is. Oakland is where my heart is. And, you know, a lot of people talk, and a lot of people talk about what they want to do, and a lot of people have dreams that never come true. This is one dream, and this is one vision, and my plan is to make it come true.
That sounds very good, David K. But I know you've got another dream that we haven't talked about, and it's with the Nashville situation. You're also with a group that trying to bring baseball, MLB baseball, to Nashville. Am I correct?
That is correct. Nashville, Tennessee. It's one of the biggest growing markets in the country. It's one of the biggest entertainment meccas in the country. And so, you know, I've gotten together with a group of friends of mine, and we looked at the Nashville area. The commissioner has, on many occasions, talked about expansion baseball, and that Nashville would be one of the primary locations considered for expansion baseball. And so we started this project 3 years ago with bringing expansion baseball or relocation to the city of Nashville. And we've been working at it for the last 3 years. We've made some great strides. The commissioner's office is aware of what we're trying to do, and I think we have support from them. Unfortunately, pandemic has it's obviously put a wrench in a lot of different things when it comes to economics. And so we're going to have to take a step back for a minute, but at some point we're going to push forward, and hopefully when baseball does decide to expand, and that's not going to happen, obviously, until the A's have a new home and until the Tampa Rays have a new home. But once that happens, then Major League Baseball said they will look at expansion.
Well, that sounds good, because you could be, now that Derek Jeter is part of a organization that bought the Florida Marlins, you could be the second African American to be a part of a wonderful situation. But to start it is even more incredible. You know, I think you learned a lot from being the general manager with the Arizona Diamondback. I think that experience probably helped you to see a lot of things differently. Did it not?
Well, that experience and the overall experiences, Roger, you know, I got into the management side of baseball in 1995 after retiring, and Sandy Alderson, who is now the president of the New York Mets, was the person who opened the door for me to become a special assistant. And then I worked with Kevin Towers with the Padres, and then eventually went to the Toronto Blue Jays as an assistant GM, director of player personnel, and a minor league director. And so the experience of all those things combined, along with being the general manager of the Diamondbacks, has really put a taste in my mouth that at some point I would like to own a baseball team and build a baseball team and build a winning tradition and legacy in the game.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck. You and your lovely wife, Lonnie. I appreciate you taking the time to share a few minutes with us. I know our audience will appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you when COVID-19 is over with. We could get together.
Roger, it's been way too long, man. So when this COVID is over with, you're going to be one of the first people I see, because when I'm with you, anybody around you, man, is treated like a king.
Well, that sounds good, David K. The same thing and when I'm with you. I'm treated like a king.
All right, man.
All right, David K. Thanks a million, okay?
Thank you guys for having me.
All
You're
right,
quite
bye.
welcome. Stay safe, Dave. Dave Stewart, 1 in a million.
1 in a million.
1 in a million. We're a little bit past our normal break time, but if you're not going to take it for Dave Stewart, who are you going to take it for, right? We'll get this break out of the way, and we'll talk more as we continue this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Surprise, something good has finally happened in 2020. Yours truly, the Clarence Bugg Show, gets to be with you every day of the week. That's right, 11 to 12 every weekday. And of course, the Exiles right in front of yours truly from 10 to 11, yours truly 11 to 12. So now it's appointment viewing. 5 days a week here on the Pelican. The Clarence Bugg Show. The only thing missing is you.
Break out of the chaos.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Coach, it occurred to me after that last segment with Dave Stewart. Over the last, I don't know how many weeks, you have had some of the biggest, hardest hitting names, particularly in Major League Baseball and other sports for that matter, as guests on the show. It says a lot to me about something you preach all the time: relationships. Is that one of the things that you're most proud of from all of your years in coaching and heading up athletic departments? Here it is, these years after you've retired, and you can pick up the phone and call the guy that's put in a $115 million bid to buy half of the rights to the Oakland Coliseum. You can pick up the phone and call the guy and say, look, man, I need you to come on my TV show, the commissioner of a conference, or a guy in the front office, or the first female GM of a major league franchise. I mean, that's the kind of stroke And this is not to, make you pat yourself on the back or anything, but that's the kind of stroke ordinary folk can't even begin to dream about. But for you, it's just, old hat, it's just relationships. Is that one of the things you're most proud of?
And I can call many more.
Oh, I know.
And we're talking about cultivating relationships over many, many years.
True.
And it all goes back to, I wasn't afraid to talk to people.
God knows you're not that. You might be a lot of things, but that ain't one of them.
And we just, like Dave Stewart and I have been friends for over 30-some years.
Uh-huh.
It's so funny how we met. He was still playing, and he was running. And he was in L.A., and he was doing his running, and I was coming out the hotel and said, "That's Dave Stewart."
Right.
And started talking with him.
Wow.
So it's just one of those things, Clarence. And like I said, there are many more people that I have relationships with.
Oh, God knows, yes.
And we'll bring some more on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And, but it's just, and the thing is that I don't worry these people.
Right.
When I call them, if they can't answer, they return my call.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never ask them for anything other than a favor that may help someone else.
Right.
In many cases, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So, if you only ask for things that you need, the good Lord find a way to help the people who are the givers to deliver.
Right. Right.
If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I said, every time I've ever asked, I remember, I know we don't have a lot of time, but
we're good.
I remember in 1989, I had the pacemaker put in.
Right.
And I was at home, and Dusty Baker called. Back then, you can call a home landline number.
Right.
So he called to check on me. And I was sleeping, and my wife talked to him and he said, it's something special about Roger. He never asked for anything for him.
Yeah.
It's always about his players.
Right.
And he said, I'm going to be here to always help him. You make sure you let him know that.
Wow.
And to me, that always means something. And one of the biggest people in Baton Rouge, I won't call his name, the richest man in Baton Rouge, I'm not going to call it.
Right.
He said the same thing. You never ask for anything for yourself. You always ask for those boys, and I'm going to be here to help you.
Wow.
Because you ask for the boy. And a lot of people ask for stuff for themselves.
Right.
And you get rewarded when you need them.
That was going to be the perfect follow-up. We hear all the time people say that it's better to give than it is to receive. It's better to, in this case, ask for others, not for yourself. But we also hear a lot of times that when you subscribe to that theory, the reward that you get on the backside is always greater than if you had asked for yourself. Is that true?
It is true. In my case, it is. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
In my case, and I try to teach my son that. My son, when he was growing up, I took him everywhere with me.
Right.
Because I wanted him to see what it's like and what. And I remember my son being around with Hank Aaron, and he was talking, and we were around people, and he wanted to take pictures. I said, son, we don't want to disturb him.
Right.
We'll have a chance to take pictures with him.
Right.
Because if you do it, all the other people going to worry. And I say,
Yeah.
you got to be conscious of that. They don't want everybody worrying them about taking a picture.
Right.
I said, we'll get a chance.
Right.
And I taught him that. Whether he was with Tommy Lasorda, the Slim Fast Man, that's what he used to call Tommy Lasorda.
Right.
Now, he's got pictures with Hank Aaron. He's got pictures with Tommy Lasorda. But those are the kind of people I put him around so he could see a different kind of world.
Right.
And, how wonderful people were outside of their uniforms.
One of the things that endeared me to you early on is that you share a trait with my late father. And it's something that he instilled in all of his children. He demanded this out of all of his children. You treat the person that is up here socially and the person that society views as being down here. You treat them both the same, don't you?
Yeah. And I remember when I was playing professional with the Braves, we were in Birmingham, Alabama. And this poor old black man was working and feeling those guys were saying things to him
Right.
that I didn't appreciate. So
Right.
I went over there, and he was trying to prepare the field for a game after rain. And I went over there and helped him. Here I am in a uniform, and I got to talk to this gentleman
Right.
side by side with him.
Right.
Because I felt this man had value that they didn't recognize. You see, and he told me about all the history, all the great players who had played in old Barron Stadium.
Right.
He told me about it, but they didn't get to know that
Right. Right.
because of the way they were treating him.
Is that one of the areas, particularly on MLK Day, when we remember and try to renew the appreciation for judging a man by the content of his character and not the color of his skin? Is that one of the areas in this country where we're missing out a lot because we no longer understand that everybody has something to contribute? You may not be able to see it right just at a moment's glance. You may have to dig a little bit to find it, to get to it. But how much is that hurting us as a society when we no longer automatically, right off the bat, understand and assume everybody has something to offer? I just need to find out what it is if I can't see it right up front.
Well, Hollywood has a lot to do with it because of the things, how they portray things. Everything has got to be beautiful or
Right.
smart, or you have to have an office or title.
Right.
You see, and that's what Hollywood portrays. Those are the people who are successful. And
Yeah.
that's not true.
Yeah.
God don't create anything ugly. Everything, even the person who live on the street has value.
Yeah.
We just don't, you mentioned it, we just don't give them credit for it.
Right.
And we're never going to talk to them
Right.
in a humane way. You got me?
Yeah.
And that's what I always remember, that situation with that old black man in Birmingham, Alabama. What I did at a 24-year-old person.
Right.
You know, that I saw the value in the man rather than, you know, those people talking about him. I wanted to show him there was somebody who appreciated what he was doing.
And let's understand, this is not pigeonholing this into a black or white situation, because I've been there over the years. I've watched you. You don't care who comes walking through the hotel lobby while we're shooting the show. If we're in commercial, it can be a young black kid, it can be a young white kid, it can be an older black gentleman, it can be an older white female. You'll stop in a minute. Hey, you want to be on my TV show? I'm Roger Cador. What's your name? It's not about a black or white thing. It's a human thing.
It is a human thing, and the God I serve teaches that. We all are God's children, and I've said it so many times. We all are God's children, and we have to treat people that way, because you'll find out if you give love, the chances are you can receive love in return.
Yeah.
It may not be at that same moment, but you'll
Right.
get it.
Right.
You see, you'll get it. And I remember my son when he was growing up, and he used to say to me, "Dad, why do the kids who always do wrong get away with it?"
Right. What'd you tell him?
It only looked that way, son. I say it only appears that way. He ain't going to get away with it. And, you know, some of those trips where I would take him on a recruiting trip and we would come back at night, and it might have been 10 o'clock at night. If I was on a long trip, I would never take him.
Right.
So there were kids playing basketball unsupervised late at night. And I said, "Kid, you see these kids, son? They're going to be way better basketball players than you could ever dream. But they're going to have a short life period." What you talking about, Dad? I said, without supervision, they're not learning life's lesson. They're not learning life skills. You need supervision to learn it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, now he's beginning to tell me that at 36. You were right about some of the things you used to tell me.
Oh, yeah.
You see, because now it all comes back. It doesn't come back at 9 or 10 or 12.
Right.
It takes a while.
It takes a while, yeah. And in and of itself, knowledge is not necessarily the key nearly as much as wisdom is. A lot of us have no clue that there is a distinct dividing line between knowledge and wisdom. As my late father used to say, there's nothing worse than an educated fool. You have all the degrees in the world,
I know
but
some of them.
without common sense to go along with it, you just going swimming against the tide.
Swimming against the tide?
Against the tide, yes, sir. We need to get the final break of today's show out of the way. Still got some ground to cover when we come back to wrap up this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show.
I'm swimming against the tide.
There you go.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe and Lock. Conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946.
Surprise, something good has finally happened in 2020. Yours truly, the Clarence Bugg Show, gets to be with you every day of the week. That's right, 11 to 12 every weekday. And of course, the Exiles right in front of yours truly from 10 to 11, yours truly 11 to 12. So now it's appointment viewing. 5 days a week here on the Pelican. The Clarence Bugg Show. The only thing missing is you.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to the final segment of this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Coach, I want to talk a little bit about some goings-on in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. The spring for last fall's football media days took place recently, and Southern University, our own Jaguars, beloved Jags, overwhelmingly picked to three-peat in the Western Division of the SWAC for football. Sounds like Dawson Odoms has made some believers out of folks in his short time at Southern.
He really has. I think he's done a really good job overcoming a lot of obstacles. And, just a few years ago, he really didn't have scholarships to give.
Right.
And people sort of forget that.
Didn't have spring practice.
That's right. Couldn't practice in the spring for maybe 4 or 5 years. So we forget all of those things. But I really like what he's done. And I think hopefully that with Deion Sanders coming in and Jackson is doing some things that we could step it up some.
Yeah.
Give him an opportunity. Because Grambling has stepped it up. Prairie View is stepping it up.
Yep.
So I think we really need to do the same thing.
Now, on the other end of the conference, Alcorn State, once again, picked the overwhelming favorite in the East. Not much has changed in the East, has it?
Well, on paper it hasn't. And we have to wait and see. Because I don't know if some of the kids who transferred in to Deion Sanders will be eligible to play. I don't know what the rules state.
Right.
Because they might have been able to play if we were playing in the fall. You got me? But I don't know since it's the spring. how the rule work on that.
I think that blanket exemption because of COVID will allow them to play.
So we have to wait and see because he's got a few D1 college transfers.
Oh, yeah.
And that makes a huge difference.
He's got
All
more
it
than a
takes
few.
is a couple of defensive linemen or offensive linemen. You change the whole team concept right there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because even in the SWAC, you're going to have enough athletes, small athletes, to play your wide out, your corners, your linebackers.
Right.
You know, those are people you're going to be able to find some undersized kids that are pretty good.
Right.
So my thing is the linemen's where you have problems getting the best players.
So Southern is picked hands on to win the West. Alcorn picked hands down to win the East. Southern has not won the SWAC championship since 2013. So it looks like something else still remains the same. The road to the brass ring goes through Lorman, Mississippi.
Well, you know what? I've been there, so I know how it is. You know, I've been there. You know, and it's tough when people trying to overcome what's in place. And one thing about those Mississippi schools, I'm talking about Alcorn and Jackson.
Right.
They can still get decent players out of that state. Plus, they have junior colleges that we don't have here that plays football.
True.
So it makes a big difference. You can find a 2-year kid been playing for 2 years rather than a high school kid.
Right. So psychologically, understanding the hump in the road for Southern is Alcorn. And understanding if it goes according to the experts, the prognosticators, that hump is still going to be there at the end of the upcoming season. Psychologically, until Southern beats Alcorn for a championship, are they against the tide?
Well, yeah, you have to get over the hump. You have to win to get over.
Yeah.
It's a psychological block. And remember, until Bannister ran the sub 4-minute mile, nobody had done it.
That's true.
Once he did it, the next week, several people did it. So you have to, it's a psychological block.
Right. And of course, there's also the other saying that pretty much says, and I'll paraphrase it here, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it.
That sounds like a warning. Everybody would be doing it.
If it was that easy to beat Alcorn, everybody would be doing it.
Well, I think the advantage Southern has now is that Jackson can maybe be more of a challenge for Alcorn. Put up a challenge against them, take away some of that thunder,
right?
And then it may make it easier. Because, you know, they've been having a pretty easy cakewalk over there on the east side.
That is true. As long as you don't ask Southern fans to pull for Jackson State, you'll be okay.
Really? They're going to pull for Jackson?
There are just some things a Jaguar fan will not do. At least some of them that I know.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for another week of the Roger Cador Show. If he is watching online and the likes, Dave Stewart, phenomenal job, friend. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. On behalf of the coach and the entire crew, I'm Clarence Buggs. We will see you next week with another edition of the Roger Cador Show. Till then, go Jags.